This could be extremely good news for Xbox, or it might be, something that people don't care about anymore. I think it really kind of depends on what type of gamer you are overall. But for me, I look at this and I think, hey, this is something that is starting to really kind of grab hold of people. It's just one of those things that I think Xbox fans probably have come to enjoy. But it's like, I feel like this argument or this news probably would have been bigger previously, because right now we get kind of these diminishing returns when it comes to the video game consoles, graphically, all this kind of stuff. Like, I've looked at graphics on a PS5 Pro. I've looked at them on a Series X. I've looked at them on a souped up PC. These things are all kind of looking the same. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say that there's no differences at all or whatever. I'm just saying that, like, the average person isn't going to really tell a difference. And so when you talk about the future, does it really matter anymore? I think that's going to be the real question. But I want to get into this because it should be a good video. What's up, everybody? I'm Crap Gamer, and this is Crap Gamer Reviews with another video, of course. Thank you guys for checking it out. I appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that as well. I do daily gaming content, so if you're looking for that, look no further than right here. I try to be fun yet informative, so if that's your bag, hey, thank you for checking it out. So we have the new leak that suggests that the PS6 is going to be less powerful than the next-gen Xbox, which, I mean, is that going to be really such a big deal? I guess if you're like a huge Xbox fan, maybe, but I mean, the Series X was more powerful than the PS5, base PS5, and nobody really took advantage of it. So, when we kind of look at that from that kind of angle, it is a little bit strange, and you have to kind of ask yourself, what exactly is it going to really matter or whatever. But anyway, new leaks claim that the PS6 will have weaker specs than the next-gen Xbox console. However, PlayStation and Microsoft has both drastically different strategies going next-gen. PS6 specs were reportedly leaked online through AMD documents, although the next-gen console isn't set to release until maybe even 2028. The rumored parts gave us a pretty good idea of what we can expect from Sony. However, now we have the rumored specs of the next-gen Xbox as well, and the comparison between the two devices is interesting, to say the least. Enthusiasts over at Gaming Leaks and Rumors have done a great job breaking down the comparison between the PS6 and next Xbox, and if true, it appears Microsoft has an edge in power, although there are also some more similarities between the devices than not, which is something we saw in the current generation of consoles, what pretty much makes everything kind of moot as it is. I'm going to link this so you guys can check it out as well, but it's like CPU cores PS6, 8 Zen 6 cores, next gen Xbox 3 Zen 6 cores, plus a 8 Zen 6 core for 11 cores total. GPU compute units, 40 to 48 RDNA 5 compute units. For PlayStation 6, 68 RDNA 5 compute units for Xbox. When it talks about like the clock speed, 3 plus gigahertz for PS6, and to be determined for the Xbox. Performance target 3 times the PS5 performance, 10 times the ray tracing. On the Xbox, native 4K at 120 frames, up to double the performance of the PS5 Pro. And it looks like modular design for family devices for Xbox. For PS6, they're going for power efficiency with cost constraints, with improved focus as the primary, improved ray tracing, as the primary focus, where Xbox is going for modular design for a family of devices. Obviously, there's a difference between the approaches, and I think this is going to have a lot to do with how I personally decide to spend my money, because I'll probably only get one. I mean, we're at a situation now where it seems like neither one of these platforms are going to have exclusives or content that is different from each other. So before console people get up in arms over the leaked specs, there's a few things to keep in mind. These are specifications that have reportedly been sourced from older AMD documents sent to Sony and Microsoft, and things can change. Of course, we should always take any leaks with a major grain of salt. Secondly, Microsoft and PlayStation are both reportedly approaching next gen with completely different strategies. For the PS6, Sony is placing a heavy emphasis on keeping prices affordable and ensuring the console has lower power consumption. Mark Cerny is also banking on groundbreaking anti-aliasing ray-tracing technology such as PSSR for the PS5 Pro. However, most importantly, Sony is allegedly gearing up to release 2 PS6 devices at launch, a home console and a portable device. Interestingly, Microsoft canceled its handheld device and instead partnered with Asus to create the Xbox ROG Ally, which I think that's a big nothing burger. That's a huge mistake. It doesn't play your console library. It's expensive. Yeah, that's not going to do much. So, I mean, you have to favor PlayStation's strategy of price and things like that first. According to reports, Microsoft is reportedly focusing more on creating a modular next-gen Xbox. Similarly, like a PC, the console will allow players to swap out parts to upgrade their system easily. Essentially, Microsoft is continuing this trend of making Xboxes more like a PC device. Lastly, even if the next-gen Xbox is technically more powerful, it doesn't really mean much. On paper, the Series X had an edge over the PlayStation, yet the PS5 ultimately sold a ton more consoles and actually had games that pretty much were either on par or looked and ran actually better on the base PS5. And that's because whenever you have a console that's going to sell better, you have a situation where gamers are going to buy that platform more, and so developers are going to and therefore support that platform much better. And that's basically what happens. You look at kind of how a lot of these things happen, and most developers weren't going to take advantage of the Xbox. And the same thing happened last generation with the mid-gen refresh, right? Like the PS4 Pro came out and it was okay. Xbox One X might go down as one of the most underrated consoles of all time. And the interesting thing to that is that, when you look at how developers supported the One X, they didn't really do a good job of it, right? Like, games look good, certainly, but very few developers went all out. And one of those developers was, of course, Red Dead Redemption 2 and Rockstar. They went all out as native 4K on the Xbox One X. Just looked ages better on that than PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro, and that's just because they didn't, they don't really care. They want to do their best, and that's what the type of developer that they are. Now, when it comes to most other developers, like, with like stuff like Assassin's Creed and things like that were coming out at the same time, they were oddly the same resolution and frame rate and everything between the PS4 Pro version and Xbox One X, so most developers didn't really take advantage of it, unfortunately. And I think, unfortunately, thanks to the way that PlayStation has kind of ingratiated themselves into being, like the more well-known platform and things like that, developers are going to continually support that over that. And then just the different countries and stuff. If you look at where Xbox is, it's not an extremely popular brand, and Microsoft is actually kind of pulled out of a lot of other countries and things like that, and that's unfortunate because you really need to kind of try to do your best to be involved in everywhere, and it's just like Microsoft hasn't really done that, I don't think, since the Xbox 360. Even when you look at the Xbox One, I think that only launched in 13 territories or something, so it wasn't like some huge deal or anything like that. But at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to see where these two consoles line up. If Sony goes for mass adoption and like a lower price point, it won't matter that it's like slightly less powerful, because like I said, developers will do a better job of supporting it, and Sony always does a good job. I think probably by next gen they should have a pretty good handle on their first parties again, and we should start to see things kind of come out and just be much better for the PlayStation brand, because right now I have to admit, like, the PS5 has probably been my least favorite generation from PlayStation that I can remember. I mean, just I haven't even turned mine on this year, so I mean, we're in August and I haven't even flipped mine on, so I mean, that should pretty much tell you all you need to know about what I think. And it's not even that I'm a hater or anything. It's like, I have PSVR 2, that's been a disappointment. I think the platform itself is great, but Sony like completely dropped support of it, and the best first stuff was going to be the first party stuff, so it's just really unfortunate. And then when you look at like what Xbox is doing and stuff like that, they are kind of dropping the ball too. I mean, the best things that they had about them was the backwards compatibility and that kind of stuff, and now it's like they stopped that, and it's like they use the same old crappy controller as last gen, so there's no upgrade there. While haptics are on the Switch and the PlayStation 5, but Xbox don't get that. You know what I mean? So that's sort of a different thing. Same old UI. Like Microsoft really should have launched with like a new UI and kind of really impress people. So it's unfortunate the way that that's kind of come about. But at the same point in time, having something that's more powerful depends on the price point. I mean, if it's just slightly more powerful but hundreds of dollars more, yeah, I don't think that's a win for anybody. But I would love to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions on this. Let me know what you think. I will link this in the description. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.